Hello, Gold Derbyites. Welcome back to another edition of Awards Magnet. This week, we're focusing on our final Oscar predictions. Believe it or not, Oscar nominations are being announced on January 22nd. That's next Thursday. So you're hearing this on Friday. That's going to be announced next Thursday. And then you're going to hear us again next Friday reacting to all the Oscar nods that have just been announced. So we're using this week, heading into the long weekend, to give you our final predictions for what's going to be nominated at the Oscars in the major categories. And it's been a busy couple of weeks. We've got a bunch of data points to go through as we make our final calls. I'm Deputy Editor Ethan Alter, joined by Senior Editors Mia McNeese and Kevin Sullivan. Are you excited, guys, to see how the Oscar shakes out? We've been covering this for months now, but we're finally going to have the answer, part of the answer at least, next Thursday. Are you excited for that to happen?
Yeah, very, very excited. I think we've had so many award shows kind of already leading up to this. So Thursday will be an early but exciting morning. And I mean, still a long ways to go until the actual show. So we really do have to pace ourselves.
I think we've seen a lot of interesting narratives kind of play out, and I'm really just kind of excited for the next chapter of these stories and to see where everything's headed to March.
March 15th is the day of the actual Oscars. So yeah, after January 22nd, it'll be a sprint to March 15th, and we see how everything shakes out. And speaking of narratives, I will just revisit my epic fail on the Wicked 2 is the next Lord of the Rings narrative. I'm now looking back at that saying, wow, yeah, I really had a lot of high hopes, like bubble high hopes for that one. So, but hey, that's the way the bubble crumbles. And Kevin, your one battle shot call is looking better and better. I think you really should have had us bet at the time and have you win, like, I don't know, like your own lunch with Paul Thomas Anderson or something. I think
we'll see. I think neither of us would be very excited about that prospect. I'd be mortified. But I will give you some credit. I think one half of your Wicked prediction was that it's either both Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo or neither of them, and I think it's not looking like the first one.
It's true. It's really like
we'll see. We'll hold out for judgment.
We'll withhold judgment for good. All right. Well, let's jump. As we said, we're going to be talking about the major categories for our Oscar predictions, since there are so many, and we're going to narrow focus in on the more biggest ones. So let's start with the screenplay races. Starting off with best original screenplay. Mia, what are your five picks right now for what's going to make it into the Oscar nods on January 22nd?
Yeah, my top five, I have Sinners, then I have Sentimental Value, Marty Supreme, It Was Just an Accident, and The Secret Agent. And I can't say these have really fluctuated or changed too much. I'm curious what will happen at the Writers Guild Awards, but these have stayed in that kind of those spots pretty early on, I would say. Do you guys have different ones in there?
My only difference is for number five, I have Weapons as sneaking in as number five over Secret Agent. But the Secret Agent is definitely a call. It seems to be on a big surge right now. It could very easily make it into the original screenplay. But part of me thinks, oh, the genre movie. I as a genre fan, I'd love to see a horror movie like Weapons get that recognition. So consider that a hope diction as we head into the January 22nd.
Yeah, I think it's these last two spots that I think are going to be really interesting here. I'm agreed with everybody in the top three. I think we've got Sinners, Sentimental Value, and Marty Supreme. And then 4 and 5, I think I'm taking two different approaches to how this category usually shakes out. For my number 4, I have The Secret Agent, which I reassessing my picks for this podcast. I think that is the international feature to beat, and I think that's the one that's going to come strongest out of the gate. I've been waiting for It Was Just an Accident to really kind of show its strength in the field. A phenomenal movie, went into the Palme d'Or, but especially after the Globes, you've been seeing the more general awards favoring The Secret Agent if it is going to an international feature. So I see The Secret Agent getting in there, and then my kind of very writerly pick, I think, as opposed to Ethan's for Weapons, I think that goes to Sorry Baby. I think you have, especially with original screenplay, you have almost kind of a designated slot for the indie darling, and Ava Victor's debut feature is a really beloved. Julia Roberts especially loves it, and I could see that sneaking in.
Yeah, no, definitely a good call. I was
exciting, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it won the Sundance Screenwriting Award back when it premiered, so it definitely has that pedigree. I think my one thing there is I haven't seen it necessarily pop in some of the other writing races. It got omitted from certain categories that way, so I was like, oh, how strong is it now? But certainly having the Roberts bump in these crucial final days, I think that could definitely help, and I would love to see Ava Victor around among the final nominees for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is a category. The screenplay categories I always love because you do have the writers branch really focused in on what's original and exciting, and from a craft standpoint. And I think Weapons is a great pick, and I could easily slot in there. I think what Zach Cregger has created between that and Barbarian is really impressive, and I think a kind of a testament to great writing. Uh, but yeah, it will be interesting. It will be interesting to see. There could be still some of the genre bias, some of the horror bias away from. It's less of a obviously written movie. I don't know if that makes any sense. Whereas Sorry Baby, you have this kind of funny, contemplative, heartfelt story that really does feel, you know, writer directorly in the kind of traditional Sundancey way.
Good argument. All right, let's head over to best adapted screenplay now. Kevin, what are your adapted screenplay picks?
My adapted screenplay picks are I'm going from top to bottom, most likely to the least likely. Let's go One Battle After Another, Hamnet, Train Dreams, Begonia, and Wake Up Dead Man. In terms of comparing the Gold Derby odds right now, I'm leapfrogging over Frankenstein and No Other Choice to nominate Wake Up Dead Man. I do think there is going to be some kind of there is an affinity, I think, for Ryan Johnson, especially among the WGA, someone who's really just kind of made his own empire on the strength of his writing and his filmmaking, and he's got 2 nominations for writing the Knives Out movies before. I think this is a really, really strong entry, and I don't see it getting skipped over. Frankenstein is, I think, as we've argued before, a stealth kind of powerhouse within the Oscars, and I think we're going to see a big representation in the nominations. I don't think its strength is in its script, and I think that's probably one of the weaker areas of it. And then No Other Choice is a movie that I love, but I don't know that I've seen that love reflected as strongly in some of the precursor awards. It's kind of fallen to the back of the pack in a really strong international feature slate. And I think that Ryan kind of has the love of the writers branch to get him and they get a third nomination in a row.
I have Hamnet at number one. I don't think you could. It's hard to argue a film, written about the best writer in the world, and so I just think that takes the top spot for screenplay. The dialogue is obviously really just. There's some lines in there that really grab your heart and are so moving. It's so beautifully written. I just think this one, if you're looking at words, in a script, like this is the one. I mean, One Battle After Another obviously also has great dialogue. And I think there's, great action scenes and there's a whole thing, but it really just the words of Hamnet, I think, takes the top spot. So I have Hamnet, One Battle After Another, Train Dreams. Again, not a movie, not of so many words, but the words there I think were really powerful. No Other Choice. And I also did Begonia because I think some of the dialogue in those scenes between Emma Stone, it was just like so witty, so funny, so on point. Also some commentary about the world. There's just a lot of fun to kind of depict in there. So I included that as my number 5, which I know is a little bit different than what Kevin had.
No, I'm with you on Begonia for 5. I'm a little. I mean, I'll confess to being a little baffled about the Academy love for Begonia. Partly just it wasn't one of my favorites of the year, but it really has stuck around in the conversation, specifically for screenplay and Emma Stone. So I'm putting that on there just for what seems to be a strong track record in precursors for sure. Then I have Frankenstein, looking at its strength across the board, and then the top 3 are pretty much the same. Going One Battle first, Hamnet, and Train Dreams as the other 3. So it'll be interesting. I mean, certainly One Battle has been doing very well in all the precursor adapted screenplay races, so that seems to have the edge. But I do like, to your point, if Hamlet doesn't get anything else, this would be the place it could win. So at least it does win something and is acknowledged apart from Best Actress, as it'll probably win as well. So, but Chloe Zhao could win here since she'll most likely not win Best Director. All right. Well, we mentioned international films earlier. Let's do a quick check-in on that category, because what's interesting there is that we're sort of shaping up for a category that's exclusively going to be movies released by Neon, the distributor that basically went to Cannes and bought all the major international titles and has been handling throughout award season. So right now, it is looking like, and this reflects on my picks. I basically have their entire slate being nominated, and that's It Was Just an Accident first, Sentimental Value second, Secret Agent third, No Other Choice fourth, and then Surat fifth. What do you guys think? Are you similarly think we're just going to be choosing between Neon movies, or is there a chance anyone can break in here at this point?
I do think Neon's going 5 for 5 on this. Just in terms of optics, these movies were by far just kind of out in front of audiences the most, and I think they each have kind of made their own strong argument for themselves. Again, I did shuffle my order a little bit. I do think The Secret Agent is kind of leading the pack as the favorite in there. But yeah, I think Neon has done a very good job of identifying some really strong awards players within the international community this year.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I have very similar ones. I think it's going to be between Sentimental Value and The Secret Agent, especially when we've just seen them, both films pick up different awards at the Golden Globes. So I really think it's going to come down to those two. But the same, kind of 5 round out my list as well. So let's all go to the Neon after party.
Yeah, seriously, they're going to have a good time there. I will say it will be interesting to see if the current situation in Iran does raise the profile of It Was Just an Accident, because certainly Jafar Panahi was at the National Board of Review award ceremony that I attended the other night. He addressed that directly, and so it is putting that spotlight back on that part of the world, and could add some reason for people to revisit that film or see it for the first time. So I do wonder if real world events will help raise that film's profile in the end game here. Certainly it seems like Secret Agent it also has a political thriller angle, and it just seems to be people were just genuinely enjoying it, and so that has certainly helped fuel its rise as well. All right, let's jump to the acting categories now. A Best Supporting Actor is shaping up to be a really interesting race, as we can touch on for some of the players involved. So Mia, why don't you kick us off with your Best Supporting Actor picks right now?
Oh, this one's hard for me because I really don't know for number one. I put Benicio del Toro. I do think it's a well-deserved award for him. I mean, Chelsea Handler gave it a shout out at Critics' Choice, but he didn't really pick up anything at the other award shows. And I loved Paul Mescal's performance in Hamnet. So I have those two at my top 2, but then Stellan at the Golden Globes winning really threw me off too. So he's now a number 3. Yeah, those are my top 3. So, and again, like I'm not going to put money on any of them because I'm not sure. But then, Jacob Elordi winning at Critics' Choice was a big surprise, I think, for everybody. So I put him at number 4 because maybe there's just kind of more voter love than we're anticipating. And then same with Miles Canton, I did for number 5 because I really think, Sinners is getting a lot of attention. He obviously got Critics' Choice Award as well. But I'm really torn in this category. I think all 5 are good performances, but I think Benicio, Paul, and Stellan are probably the top 3.
Yeah, Miles is a good pick, Miles Caton. I think that's a really exciting performance that I'd love to see, and I think it maybe in a less competitive year does more easily get in. But yeah, I think I was backstage at the Golden Globes and seeing Stellan Skarsgård get up there, win, very reluctantly answer some questions with very concise answers. I felt like I could see him going all the way with that. It was it's something we've been, I think it's just kind of been hovering around the periphery of this supporting actor conversation, especially as Benicio has picked up steam and started winning critics awards. But I think as we're getting into more bigger awards bodies, you're going to see more love for Stellan Skarsgård start coming out, and he is my current number 1 pick for nominations. But yeah, otherwise my pick for nominations are Skarsgård, Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, Paul Mescal, and Jacob Elordi, who is really kind of made us a stunning run recently. I think he's been a lot of the recipient of a lot of the goodwill for Frankenstein. because I mean, yeah, I think anyone who was on TikTok the weekend of Frankenstein's debut, you saw both its popularity and maybe a good reason for its popularity, and that being Jacob Elordi. So yeah, it'll be. I'm feeling pretty confident about this one.
It's interesting on the Stellan question. I mean, one of the X factors that we've sort of talked about on several on a lot of our coverage on Gold Derby right now is the fact that in the guilds, a lot of the guilds are sort of snubbed or at least not pay attention to the international film. So, for example, the SAG Actor Awards, did not nominate Stellan Skarsgård for sentimental value as one of many international actors who's overlooked. So, some have seen that as complicating his chances in the Oscar race. So, yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I still have him as number 3 on my list because the Academy voting body is more global and diverse than just SAG as a guild. But certainly that's something that has been factored into some of the races is how will that sort of guild inattention to international fare affect, if at all, the final list of nominations. But yeah, Stellan's number 3 on my list right now. I have Benicio still at number 1. It does seem like he's bounced, and it's wild because when One Battle started its run, everyone thought Sean Penn was the clear winner. He was all the talk coming out of those first wave of screenings, and I think as we've talked about before, Benicio's had this quiet, steady build throughout the season, and definitely seems like a dominant player right now. Again, at the NBR ceremony the other night, people were just coming up to him and wishing him well, and he was very kind and generous with his time and greeting people. So there's so much love for him for sure. And I overheard someone talking, saying, "What have I seen him before? Oh, Usual Suspects." Of course, they were then listing off all the great Benicio del Toro movies. They did not mention Excess Baggage, which they should have, because that is a '90s classic that needs more respect.
What about License to Kill? We go all the way back. That's an interesting pull.
We go all the way back.
Kevin, do you have Sean Penn on the Best Supporting your list?
I do have Sean Penn.
Because that's an interesting point. Because I remember he was getting some, like you said, Ethan, he was on my list. He was getting so much buzz, and now at this point, no. But yeah, I was wondering if you still had him on.
Yeah, I think the split between him and Benicio has been interesting. I think what you see is the difference between two really well acted performances. One, a character who is absolutely despicable and disgusting in every possible way, and then also one who you want to hang out with, and people are choosing the more pleasant one. And I think that's interesting and maybe a reflection of the times we're living in.
Yeah, that tracks for sure. I also have I actually am putting Jacob Elordi at number 2. I think I think if there's a split between the One Battle folks, and if Skarsgård support isn't as strong as anticipated, and I think he gets in there over Mescal. Mescal is like the other choice. He's my alternate. So I have him at number 2 right now, hanging out there based on the Euphoria trailer just dropped. So now there's all that talk about Euphoria and Elordi. So again, I think I can see him being pretty well positioned going into this. Either way, a nomination will be great for his career, even if he's unlikely to win. But just being in that mix is a good sign for him.
Where do you have Paul, Ethan?
Paul, I have at number 4 right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you have Jacob over him. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, no, I was going back and forth. If the One Battle vote splits, and if Stellan's support isn't as strong, it's going to follow those two. And I think Jacob just has the edge over Paul in that scenario for me. All right, over to the next the Best Supporting Actress category. Kevin, what are your Best Supporting Actress picks right now?
So right now my 5 are we got Amy Madigan, Weapons. We got Teyana Taylor for One Battle After Another. Wumi Masaku for Sinners. We got Inga from Sentimental Value, and Ariana Grande from Wicked for Good. Shouts to Ethan. Just trying to give you a little bit of credit. I think in terms of the Wicked for Good of it all, I think Ariana's just been such an MVP within that series. It does kind of feel like one of the nominations that kind of lingers on from the first Wicked, along with a few technical categories. But I think this is, I think this is Amy Madigan's to lose. That may be my own preference to that. Not preference, but loving that performance so much, shining through. The win for Teyana Taylor at the Golden Globes made this a bit more interesting, but I could see it. I could see it going to Amy as a bit of spreading the wealth with One Battle taking so many awards up top.
Yeah, I think this is a matchup between Amy and Tiana. I think there's really strong performances, but just based on, the award shows we've seen in the last 2 weeks, it's kind of like Amy gets one, Tiana gets one, like they're kind of going back and forth. So um, I think I do agree that Ariana will probably get in, but I think it'll come down to those two for who actually wins the award.
Do we have any feelings about the potential search by Odessa Zion from Marty Supreme? We've certainly seen her start to mount a series with a bunch of early nominations. What do we think there? Is that a potential breakthrough in these final weeks?
I was gonna say I think that is a really good. It's got really good potential for a bigger surprise on the day. I think she does have a shot getting in, possibly knocking out Inga, but um, that will be interesting to see. I think if there's a spoiler in any of the acting categories, it might be Odessa, just because of that conversation really came purely out of people seeing the movie, responding to that character. And A24 is, I think, putting a little bit more muscle behind it. They released her audition tape, and I think people are really kind of waking up to it. So that's one I'm keeping my eye on for sure.
That would make like the top of the snubs and surprises list if she made it. I would be surprised by that. I think she did a great performance, but I think she's really young. This is like her first role. To make it in the top five when you have this kind of stellar list of competition, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I would definitely be surprised by that.
And it could come down again to as simple as being on the SAG side of things, Inga didn't get in there, and instead that could be the reason why Odessa advanced, because Inga was among, again, the international actors who was not nominated by SAG. So that is the potential for the spoiler situation there, which could or could not indicate what's going to happen with the Oscar first. I do think we're going to get at least one of sentimental value supporting player in there. I don't. At one point there was predictions that both Elle Fanning and Inga would get nominated. I don't think that's happening anymore. I think if one of them does get it, it's most likely Inga over Elle. But yeah, certainly that I think that's, again, the SAG Actor Awards did complicate some in some minds the situation for some of the international actors looking for a berth in the final five. But overall, I think I pretty much have this on point with both of you. I think Amy and Tayana, it's going to be between one or the other, whether they decide to go with the genre movie or if the one battle train just keeps on rolling through the award season and Tayana benefits from that. Those two are certainly going to be in there. And then the only other person I have on the list is Wunmi Mosaku for Sinners, who I think has gotten a lot of love as part of that ensemble in general, and I think will get a nomination here, which is great because she's wonderful in the film.
Well, this has been the same from the beginning. I haven't changed it. I know Rose is itching in there, but Jessie Buckley's my top on my list. I think she gave an amazing speech at the Critics' Choice Awards, so I think always helps. And I just still think that is the strongest performance by a female actress this year. So I think she's going to take it, but I do have Rose Byrne in second place. I have Renata in third. I have Chase Infinity in fourth, and I have Emma in fifth. Only Emma Stone for Begonia, only because I feel like the Academy loves her. She is an awards darling. She does give a strong performance in an interesting film. So I have her down for number five.
I only have a slight difference in order. I think I've got Emma just ahead of Chase, but I mean, in terms of who the actual nominations are going to be, these feel really, really kind of safe, and it would be very hard to crack into this, and that will be interesting to see. Ethan, I apologize on behalf of your love for the Testament of Anne Lee. I think Amanda gave a great performance, and I think that maybe that movie just didn't catch on in the way that it deserved to. But yeah, I'm interested. Do you think this is going to go anywhere else?
No, I know. I think those are the five. I am, but as a hope diction and also as a anti-protest vote against the Emma Stone factor. Not that she's bad in the movie. She's won twice already, though. And again, my personal preference is playing the place here. To do one last hopeful prayer that Amanda Seyfried qualifies on Oscar morning. I don't think she will, but gotta stick with it. Gonna testify one more time and give her one last shot at this. So that's my number five. And then otherwise, the fourth category there. I am going to put Rose Byrne at number one for now in the idea of a shocker. I like being the one on the outside, just in case the dark horse candidate wins, and you reap the rewards from going outside the box there. So I have Rose Byrne at number one for now, but acknowledge that Jessie Buckley will be difficult to beat for sure. So, but holding Rose as a fellow reptile owner as well. I got to stick up for us reptile pet owner folk. All right, let's go to Best Actor, where again, I think we have a mostly clear number one right now, unless there's an argument that Leo is going to come back and take over from Timothy, who's certainly dominated the past few months. Kevin, do you have any feelings on where those things stand?
I mean, I wrote about this a little bit in the wake of the Oscars, but I don't think Leo is the Timothy spoiler anymore. I think it's Wagner. I think Wagner as a winner in terms of optics, completely aside from the quality of performance, is a really compelling argument. He is much more age appropriate for the Academy, who has famously shunned young Best Actor winners. Timothy would be the second youngest Best Actor winner after Andrew Brody. He is very eloquent. He gets up there, speaks, gives meaningful speeches. He doesn't mention Kylie Jenner at all. And he's got, I think, the momentum. And so I do think Timothy is my number one pick in terms of nominations right now. I think he's easily the most likely nominee of all these people. But if we're looking ahead to the winners, I think Wagner is on a really interesting path. The rest of my top five are Leonardo DiCaprio, Michael B. Jordan, and Ethan Hawke. Joel Edgerton has a shot to get in there, I think, depending on how many people actually went and tracked down Blue Moon. I think Train Dreams has shown a lot of acceleration in terms of just the narrative, especially around its cinematography, and I think people have seen it just because of the ease of Netflix. But I think Ethan might have the slight edge. But yeah, I think right now I'm looking at that number one and two, and that's I'm interested to see. I think I would love to see Timothy win, just to lower that age of the median Best Actor winner. But I think we could have a really interesting race here.
I do have Joel Edgerton as sort of my little movie that could. I think it is. I think you're right. That it is either Ethan or Joel, one of those two, and it's going to come down to which movie got in front of voters. I think somehow I just feel like Joel has the edge. When that movie does screen at festivals or at FYC screenings, people come out just really moved by it, and it's so much of it is because of Joel's performance. So I see him getting that number five slot. Otherwise, my other four are pretty much again. I have Wagner in there at number four. I'm not as quite sold on him being the definite number two to Timothy, but certainly his popularity is only growing, and I think he will wind up in the top five, and that's going to raise his profile as well. Mia, where do you stand?
Yeah,
right now?
same. I actually, though, disagree a little bit. I do have Leonardo DiCaprio number one. I know. I think this movie, as we've seen, is just getting so much steam behind it. I think, when I think of the Oscar voters, I feel like there's a chance they might favor Leonardo DiCaprio over Timothy. I think Timothy's like beloved and he walks in a room and everyone's like, oh my gosh. But like when, at these award shows, he gets all the attention, but he's also walking in with Kylie Jenner. And I'm just thinking when the actual Oscar voters, from all over different countries and they're a little bit older when they sit down to vote, I'm curious to see. And a lot of people are, obviously giving a lot of love to one battle after another. So I think it'll be a really tight race between those two, but I put him at number one. I don't know. There's something I just can't see Timothée Chalamet. I know he's been winning everything and he has a great chance and he, definitely could, but I can't say for sure yet. And then I have the other same Michael B. Jordan at three. I do have in my fifth place, though, I do have Ethan Hawke. I think, I know he was just at something I did a big retrospect of his career and kind of reminding people how many things he's been in for, so many decades. And I do think, this was one of his best performances in Blue Moon. So I did put him in the number five spot.
Leo here is I'm very, very curious. I came up with the sense that there is there could be a thinking that this would be a way to almost redo Leo's win, whereas like he wins for The Revenant after trying so hard for so many years to be taken so seriously, and he does the most. He wins for being the most serious. He put himself in the mud. He got eaten by a bear. He ate that horse heart or buffalo heart or something. And what we've seen since is him settling into not just middle age, but a different chapter of his star persona where he is really kind of flexed this muscle as an incredible on-screen buffoon. And this is almost this would be rewarding almost a different Leonardo DiCaprio, and I think they could give this to him as being like, well, maybe this is the one we should have given him for, like maybe he didn't have to go through.
He falls off a roof. I mean, there's a lot of, he doesn't get attacked by a bear, but he can't remember passcodes. Like there's, treacherous things too. No, I think it was an amazing performance. I really do think he has a great chance.
It has a lot of the strength of his performance from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but it's a lot more sincere. It's got a lot more heart, and I wouldn't be mad to see him win for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly, I mean, just there's still such fascination with him. I mean, we look at how he went viral after Golden Globes for dropping his like awards mask for 1 minute and getting goofy, and that went everywhere. People love that. And again, the jokes that Nikki Glaser made about no one knowing anything about him. When he does talk, people are fascinated by him. They want to hear from him. They want to know who this guy is. So there is that continued fascination with him at this point in his career, and I think that speaks to both how he's managed himself and also just how intense he is as a performer. Like people just really connect with what he does on screen. So yeah, no, this certainly could be if he was going to win a second Oscar at this point, this is a great film for him to do that for. Let's jump to Best Director, and I'll confess here, for a little while I was putting Jafar Panahi at number one. I did to see he was on a roll throughout the fall festival season, especially with critics groups and everything. I've now, after seeing how Paul Thomas Anderson has basically taken over, I've now switched that. I do have Panahi at number two. I do think he gets in, but I think PTA pretty much has one sewn up. It seems like both the film and him are the consensus picks for this particular year. And then I also have Coogler, Zhao, and my number five, Guillermo del Toro, based on the love that's been seen in advance. The only other potential spoiler is Josh Safdie, who's been recognized on at a bunch of precursor ceremonies as well. But I think between the two of them, I give the slight edge to del Toro based on how much people love him and how strong the craft love for Frankenstein is. So that's where my five stand right now. Mia, where are you on the director?
I have Guillermo del Toro on my list too. He's at number five, but I do think he makes the cut for this. Yeah, and just for his career in general. I'm really curious to see with this category. Obviously, Paul Thomas Anderson, I have at number one. No doubt he's getting a nomination, pretty good chance he's going to win it, but we'll see. I also have Chloe down for Hamnet. Their win at the Golden Globes on Sunday, I think really kind of is propelling them forward. She's been on, the list for a long time. And same with Ryan. And I do have Josh down there. I think that the movie is like, one of the first things you notice is just kind of this quick pace all over the place. It's so many different scenes. Actually, like there's just so much. And I think as a director, his work has really been highlighted in this film, especially kind of his going out without his brother. And there's been a lot of talk about that. So I could see him getting a nomination. Kevin, you disagree?
No. I'm torn here. I think the three most likely nominees, I think we're all kind of agreed on between Paul Thomas Anderson, Ryan Coogler, and Chloe Zhao. I went a little, I changed up my picks a little here, and I was even doing it just a moment ago. My fourth slot, I think, is kind of in question. I started the podcast with Josh Safdie as my number four, but I do think kind of this undercurrent of Frankenstein coming in and becoming this really, really strong contender, not just in supporting actor, but also in the craft categories, and the love for Guillermo. I could see him getting in over Josh, and I think I may lock that in for the time being at least. And then I'm going a little crazier here. I think if director follows it's a pattern that it's established before and has one international feature director make it in, I think it might be The Secret Agent that gets in over Jafar or Panahi.
You're putting it all on Secret Agent. I love it. Because that has come out of a kind of a questioning of my own presumptions, where
I had considered it was just an accident, such as Powerhouse, and I haven't seen it deliver on that presumption. It came out of Cannes and was this Palme d'Or winner, and Jafar Panahi is this beloved and respected and revered director. I think people are just embracing The Secret Agent in a way that is, I think, just in just a broader way. I think it is a more accessible movie. It's less, I don't know, it's less abrasive. I mean, it was just an action can be a really, really hard watch sometimes. As great as it is, it's an amazing movie. But in terms of just appealing to a mass audience, if you're trying to win an award, I think Secret Agent might just have a slight leg up by being a little bit more populist. Even though it is a complicated movie, that's I could see that being kind of a spoiler here. We will see, though. It is interesting. I think those last two slots could go a lot of different ways, and I'm having a hard time locking it in.
It does sound like our Brazilian listeners will, if you decide to make the trip to Brazil, they will host you at their houses and feed you copious delights.
Listen, I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm just trying to. Brazil, I love you. I'll come to Brazil. This
only if you can fly first class. We know.
Yeah, this is the move I'm making. I love you, Brazil. I love you, Wagner. Let's go, Brazil. No, but I think the fact that you have this really vocal constituency and this really kind of thriving film scene. You had Fernando Torres last year, and I'm still here getting the Best Picture. I think we could see a repeat here.
Yep, no, absolutely. It is certainly a strong possibility. The surge is real. I think we can definitely say that.
It's legit. I mean, I'm not trying to play to Paul Thomas Anderson Studio City crowd either. Like, you don't need to host me to get me there. I actually think he's good.
All right, we've arrived at Best Picture, the big kahuna of Oscar night. Let's go through our 10 picks for what we think is going to make it into the top 10. Mia, what are your 10 right now?
Okay, I know this is being recorded, so it's going to go on record when I say this next sentence, but I think Kevin is right.
Oh, no, don't say that. I don't want that.
I have One Battle After Another at number 1, and I don't know, I'm going to stick with that. Number 2, I have Hamnet. 3, Sinners, and then Marty Supreme, Frankenstein, Sentimental Value, It Was Just an Accident, The Secret Agent, Train Dreams, and I have Begonia at the end of number 10. So this list makes me very excited for Thursday because I really am curious to see if who makes it and who doesn't. But I do think the top 3 we're going to see on there: One Battle, Hamnet, and Sinners. No question about it.
I have the same 10, and I'm not just trying to repay the very kind compliment. I think going ahead to looking ahead to the winter conversation, the way that some of these awards have shaken out, especially with the Globes just in such recent memory, is made that I think kind of the number 2 slot kind of an interesting conversation. I wondered in an article on Gold Derby about in a hypothetical situation where box office achievement, the Gold Globe doesn't exist, does Best Picture drama play out differently? And I don't know. I have Sinners currently as my number 2, but I don't think Hamnet should be underestimated. It is a much more traditional winner than both One Battle and Sinners. I don't think anyone has the juice currently to beat One Battle. I've said it before, that just does feel like the movie of the year, both in terms of just the quality of it and the moment where it happened. But if there were to be an upset, I don't even know who that would be, and that is making for a really interesting race.
I have 8 out of the 10 we've discussed so far, but I'm not quite willing to give up entirely on commercial cinema and blockbusters. So I am
Wicked 4 good
on there as just getting in, and similarly, can't quit James Cameron. I think that Avatar Fire and Ash has an outside shot at qualifying as well, based again on all the below the line guilds that have embraced it, and it has all of this. It has the same precursor guild nominations that Way of Water did, and that also got a Best Picture nomination in the end. Now, that one also had the bigger box office to go along with it. Then the news surrounding Avatar Fire and Ash in general has not been quite as strong because the performance hasn't been quite the same. But I still think that if we see the history of Cameron and that franchise in particular suggests that it does have the support as the last one did to make it as the top 10. Same with Wicked for Good as well, where it was one of the leaders on the short lists. It has the box office potential behind it. So I think that aspect of it still makes them viable contenders for me for picture. They won't win, but it's an acknowledgement that the Academy still wants to honor these films that are global hits and mass hits and box office hits. As exciting as the smaller and more international dramas are, I think there is still a desire to honor those films on as Best Picture nominees. So I'm keeping them on there for now. Now, I do also think that Avatar could potentially lose out to the other big blockbusters done well in the below the line, and that's F1, which has sort of come on strong this last little stretch here. So then maybe that's the anti-Avatar pick. But I'm still going with Big Jim Cameron for now on that end.
I think this year's blockbusters, they're not an Oppenheimer, they're not a Barbie. Like I think you're right. The Academy does recognize blockbusters, but I think it has to also have that kind of acclaim behind it. And I just don't know if those two ones do, like we've seen in previous years with some of the other big ones.
Yeah, that is a good counter for sure.
Who did you kick out to make room?
I don't have sentimental value. That one, I think that one I wound up going with. It was just an accident, Secret Agent instead. I think who's the other one that we didn't?
Begonia, you don't have.
Begonia, and I don't have Begonia again. Yes, another Begonia protest vote.
I think Begonia. I think Begonia is vulnerable there.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think again, this is a top question we brought up before. Just talking about this award season is how many international features are going to make it into Best Picture, which is an interesting conversation because it's traditionally it will any, and it's not. I do feel strongly it is a question of how many. I was looking into the records previously, and 3 would be the most, if not tie it. And we'll see. It will be interesting to see for sure.
Yeah. It'll be a true test of how global the Academy voters have gotten. And again, a reflection of how the guilds have it, because most of these international features have not qualified in these different guild categories. That's the other reason I'm thinking, as strange as it may seem, because I don't have the acclaim, it's still possible for an Avatar or Wicked to sort of coast on that aspect. The fact that these are Hollywood-made blockbusters, and that still is where the guild's hearts tend to lie, even as there's all these exciting movies being made elsewhere that are deservedly getting recognition. But yeah, so certainly it'll warm the hearts of Universal and 20th Century Studios, and both those movies that they spent a lot of money on get a nomination in these final days.
Oh man, I don't know about you guys. I'm excited. This got my blood going. Let's see.
I know. I agree. I mean, it's going to be an early 5 a.m. wake up, but I'm very excited for it.
All right. Well, great. Thanks so much for joining me on making our final Oscar predictions. Tune in next Thursday, January 22nd, bright and early, 5 a.m. Pacific time, 8 a.m. East Coast time, to hear what's made the nomination. You'll definitely hear from us next Friday with our reactions. The same crew will be back, so we can hold ourselves to account for what we got right and what we didn't. And we'll talk to you at that point. Be sure to send us your thoughts, questions, voicemails, picks for best Brazilian spot for Kevin to go to when he visits that country after the Secret Agent sweeps everything. We'll send him on a fact-finding tour in Brazil, and send those all to awardsmagnet@goldderby.com. Thanks so much, and we'll be back in your ears and your feeds soon.
Thanks for listening to Awards Magnet, Gold Derby podcast. Like what you heard? Leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Awards Magnet is produced by Andrew Merrill. Our logo is designed by Chelsea Sakura. Please like and subscribe to stay on top of all the awards news, and email us at awardsmagnet@goldderby.com.